Hello, Simsters in the chat room. Hey, too loud. Shush. This is a real broadcast. It's very professional. It is very professional. I don't know, 4x6, 8x10, whatever. Okay, guys. It's Belmont night in the sim, and tomorrow's Belmont in real life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Crazy stuff. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm just talking garbage until you can hear me. Yeah, everything's set correctly, so. Yup. Is that yup to me? Okay, good. Hi, everybody. We're 1 minute away from the actual start of the show. I am sitting on the floor in Susie Rydell's basement with Nikki Everdeen and Susie Rydell. And Elise Peverell was here, but she went away. And we have a special guest MC tonight. And I have to tell you guys all about her because this was blowing my mind earlier. So, Steph Wilder, who used to play The Sim, she started playing in February of 2001. She actually won the Long Island Classic / Belmont Stakes with a horse named Be Brave, Don't Cry, which makes me crazy because he has no headshot because that was way back before horses had headshots because headshots started in 2006. She won the Long Island Classic in April of 2003, which means that 13 real-life years ago, the sim existed and Steph Wilder won the Belmont. She is at 250 wins lifetime. She currently has 34 horses in her barn because she still kind of dabbles once a year when she gets around all of us. And she has a couple horses up for sale, right? Yeah, okay. So there's a couple horses up for sale. She has definitely never done a broadcast, and we are not expecting this to be serious in the least because it's Long Island Classic night and we're all kind of punch drunk, except for me who doesn't drink at all. I'm just sleepy. So to talk about this Long Island Classic, which has 10 horses in it, I'm going to turn it over to tonight's MC. She has never MC'd before, but she will be giving you some very special facts about these horses that you cannot learn anywhere else. Number one is this horse. Maybe just say hi.
Hi. Okay. So the number one horse is James Dean, owned by Art Vandelay. He was third in his last start in the Louisville Derby. And he has won
His stats are over here.
3 times in his lifetime. He enjoys romance novels and long walks on the beach. Number 2 is You Are Not Alone, a California bred by Pete Valla.
No,
Owned by Pete Valla, that's what I meant. I'm a little tired right now. Sorry, Pete.
He's probably not listening.
Oh, okay.
Maybe later.
He was 8th in his last start in the Louisville Derby and is 4 for 5 lifetime.
Yeah, because before that he was undefeated, wasn't he?
He was undefeated before that. His favorite color is green, in case you were wondering. Next we have in the 3 spot, Iron Spirit, a New York bred owned by Rebecca Rose Hepburn. He was 5th in his last start in the Louisville Derby and has won 4 starts out of 6 in his lifetime. Fun fact about him is he says the most adventurous thing he's done so far in his life is to go bungee jumping. The number 4 horse is Brilliantly, a Kentucky bred owned by Louise Bayou, who I've met, and she is lame and didn't come and play with me this year. He was 3rd in his last start in the Baltimore Crown and has won 3 starts in his lifetime. A fun fact about him is that he's actually a natural redhead who dyes his hair.
This is Kopalushka.
Okay. The next horse is Kopalushka, who I had to just learn how to say his name, owned by Rocky Rializa. In his last start in the Puerto Rican Derby, he came in 2nd and has won 2 races so far in his lifetime. A fun fact about him is that he had a brief foray as an exotic dancer for a short time before he got into racing. The number 6 horse is Best Man, an Illinois bred who is owned by Xander Zone. He won the Baltimore Crown in his last start and is trying to keep that momentum going into tonight's race. Recently, he's wrote a groundbreaking nonfiction book about the secret life of horses, which should be published later this year. The 7 horse Hornblower is a California bred owned by Art Vandelay. He was 13th in his last start in the Louisville Derby, but is trying to improve upon that in this race. He can tie a cherry stem in a knot with his tongue, in case you were wondering. The 8th horse is Degrassi, a New York bred owned by Susie Rydell, who's sitting right next to me. He was 9th in his last start in the Louisville Derby, but before that has won 3 out of his 4 starts. A fun fact about him is that he was the voice of a mammoth coming out in Ice Age 4. The number 9 horse, Keeper of Secrets, is a New York bred owned by Danny Derby, who's won 3 lifetime starts so far, including his last start in the Desperation Stakes. His favorite movie is Caddyshack. The number 10 and last horse in this race is Talk It Round, a New York bred owned by Scott Eland, who I've also met, who is not here again this year, who last out in the Louisville Derby was 10th, but before that had won 2 starts in his lifetime. The last fun fact about our number 10 horse is that he just signed an endorsement deal with Nike and will have a swoosh shaved into his mane by year 45.
Thank you, Steph, for that expert analysis. I have to say, that was some hard-hitting research that she did there. So, we are 9 minutes to post for the Louisville Derby, Long Island Classic, whatever race we're on. You know what? Whatever race we're on. Ten horses, and the betting pool is already very high, closing in on $200,000. Such a bummer for poor Art Vandelay that James Jean draws the rail, because he was in the 20 in the Derby, and he also drew the rail with Spectre, who was second in the Baltimore Crown, but is not in this race today. I don't know what Spectre's doing next. The horses that specifically have been pointing for this race all year: You Are Not Alone, Iron Spirit for sure, Degrassi, because Susie Rydell has all the animals that want to go 1.5 miles, and Keeper of Secrets, who is owned by Danny Derby, and he has... I just accidentally opened Royal Ascot PPs. That's not the same. Danny Derby, who has won the last 2 Long Island Classics. Last year he won it with Be Prepared, and the year before he won it with Broadchurch. Another fun fact is that we will have 4 Long Island Classic winners in training, because the horse who won it the year before that, Starting Rumors for Justin Turner, is actually racing tonight, and I believe does quite well. So, there you go. So, you guys should get your bets in. I guess I could do a little bit, not better job, but different job of explaining the horses in this race. James Dean lost to Eastern Westside 2 back in what was a huge shocker, but then Eastern Westside just came back to, win the Louisville Derby. He's not here tonight, though. Eastern Westside, who has a brand new, beautiful headshot. He is coming back in the Metropolitan Derby on Monday, which is a sponsored... No, not a sponsored. Yeah, it is sponsored. Sponsored Grade 2. Poor Bill Outsilver, who sponsored this race, made it for his horse named Classic, who was trying to get into the Derby field but didn't make it. And then, bam! Now Eastern Westside's in that race. So if I'm Bill Outsilver, I'm pretty much crying because Nikki Everdeen is interjecting that Bill Outsilver bought that horse from her. You Are Not Alone was definitely the best horse that I bred in my crop, dirt routing wise. That's the horse I personally thought was going to be my Derby horse. I had high hopes for Brilliantly too, but I just had to give the edge to You Are Not Alone. Was undefeated, looked like a big favorite going into that, and then he ran horrible. He faded to 8th, or well, I guess he rallied to 8th from 17th, and he was not impressive on that day. So is it that he's a mile and a half horse, because a lot of horses are, or is it that he just had a bad day? I'm a little surprised that this horse didn't come back in the Queen's Derby, which is 3 nights from now. But alas. Sorry, the window, people keep sending me private messages and it's confusing. Next up, Iron Spirit. He was bred with the Derby and Long Island Classic in mind. She never really had designs on the Baltimore Crown. He ran respectably in the Derby, rallying from 15th to be 5th. He was the only horse who really closed ground that day, because the speedy, the Best Man and James Dean duel, those horses ended up 2-3. Is he a true mile and a half horse? You know, Rebecca Rose Hepburn, she has those marathoners, but this horse is by Rambling, who I think is a premier mile and a quarter sire, and out of a mile and a quarter mare in Frostburned. So this might be too far for him. Or is he going to just rally past everyone and cruise? If James Dean and the Best Man get into a duel again, that seems a very likely option. I heard a rumor that Brilliantly was skipping this race, but now he's back in it. But that might have just been me listening to a podcast where they speculated that. So, yeah, I might have made that up. Brilliantly is probably the second best horse, in my opinion, that I bred in my crop. He's clearly right there. He was 3rd in the Baltimore Crown, 4th in the Derby. Definitely the kind of horse who's going to jump up and win one of these one day. I honestly would not be surprised if we had a different winner tonight and week 12 Friday and week 10 Monday and week 16 Friday. Just all different winners, because they're all basically the same animal. Before that, he'd won 2 in a row, including beating Spectre. So, Brilliantly is legit, and his sire and his grandsire both won the Long Island Classic. 4 minutes to post. Get your bets in, because I want it over $200,000, and you have $18,000 left to go. So chop chop, people. Kopalushka is by Scorpio Races, who was a marathoner. A nice one at that. And is only standing for $25,000. I do like me good. Kopalushka is from the book, The Scorpio Races. Yeah, that made a lot of sense, since that's his sire. And it's what they call the demon horses that live in the water and come on land and eat people. Seriously good book if you haven't read Scorpio Races. Highly recommend it. I don't think I really talked about the horse, but I just gave a book endorsement, so... Rocky trying to win her first Triple Crown race. We had Mark Branch and Xander Zone both winning their first in the first 2 legs, so could happen. Next up is the Best Man for Xander Zone, son of Maelstrom, who won the Triple Crown. He ran maybe the best race of the day in the Derby, finishing 2nd by a neck after dueling the whole way around, and then he rebounded to win the crown. He always runs basically the same race, 91, 89, 90. He's always right there. And he did run a 98 in his 3-year-old debut, which was a loss. No, he did win that over to Grassi. Hornblower has my favorite pedigree in the race because I love his dam. He hasn't won since week 2 of this year, but in that race he beat Let It Go, who is the favorite for the Long Island Acorn, which I decided not to call this year because I was at Belmont working. Seriously though, with the popping up windows, guys. Degrassi is the 8. His dam Amber is notorious for wanting long and producing things that go long, but his sire Mint is definitely a speed influence. Will a mile and a half be too long, or will it be perfection? He was probably the second choice in the Derby, coming off of a 5 3/4 length win in the Hot Springs Derby. He did not run well that day. He was 7th at the first call, then 9th, then 13th. He lost a bunch of ground, and then he did rallied to be 9th. But he did break badly that day. Then comes Keeper of Secrets, who was pointing to this race all year long. He won Scott Island's $1 million sponsored Grade 1. 2 back from that, he won a very bad version of the Texan Derby, but he did it quite quickly. This is a horse by Long Island Classic winner Newsroom, who will definitely like the 1.5 mile distance. And lastly, with 1 minute left to go, it is Talk It Round, the horse who almost didn't make it into the Derby. Then he got in, and he ran 10th, splitting the field exactly in half. Was Scott Island glad he ended up running him, or wish he'd run somewhere else? I don't know. He's another one that you would think, because of his closing style, would like the 1.5 mile distance. But he has a lot of 1.25 miles in his pedigree. Will this be too far, or will it be perfection? It's post time, so without further ado, let's stop talking about the race and let's just run it. Where did it go? Because I need to close betting. Hold on. Betting pool closes at $205,000. $100. Twice dollars. They're off in the classic. Iron Spirit a step slow, but everyone else is away sharply. James Dean scoots out from the rail and takes the lead, and there's no pressure on him today. The best man takes back second and lets the leader go. Talk It Round up close today. Degrassi and Hornblower. Then there's a break back to the rest. Iron Spirit, You Are Not Alone, Kopalushka, Keeper of Secrets, and Brilliantly is the early trailer. They're sweeping down the stretch the first time. James Dean is on the bit and leads by 2. The best man is Lucin, second, a good 3 lengths ahead of the rest of the field. Talk It Round, Degrassi and Hornblower, then 2 back to the rest. Iron Spirit leads that brigade. You Are Not Alone, Kopalushka, Keeper of Secrets, and then Brilliantly. They have only 1 mile left to go in the Long Island Classic, and James Dean leads by 4. He's on cruise control, chased by the best man. 5 more lengths back to the rest of them. Degrassi's now up in the third. Talk It Round, then Hornblower, who's losing a bit of ground. Iron Spirit, You Are Not Alone, Keeper of Secrets, Kopalushka, and then comes Brilliantly. James Dean's leading by 4. The best man still tracking. Degrassi, Talk It Round, Hornblower, Iron Spirit passes that one. You Are Not Alone, Keeper of Secrets, Kopalushka. And Brilliantly, now they're rounding the far turn, and James Dean is showing no signs of stopping. They're going to have to come and catch him, and the first to crack is the best man. The crown winner drops out and is swallowed up by Talk It Round. Iron Spirit up 4th. Degrassi asks for more. You Are Not Alone, and Keeper of Secrets. Down the stretch they come. James Dean, 4 in front. Talk It Round, passed now by Iron Spirit. Degrassi is there. You Are Not Alone rolling hard, but James Dean is a runaway. He's barely been asked. He's a standout actor today. Iron Spirit up second, and You Are Not Alone right there. Then Talk It Round, but James Dean was mighty impressive today. He wins by 3. Iron Spirit and You Are Not Alone come to the wire right together. Talk It Round 4th, Degrassi 5th, and then Keeper of Secrets. The official winner of the Long Island Classic is James Dean. He's a 3-year-old bay colt by Newsroom out of Pact by Night Fury. He is a homebred for Art Vandelay, and this is his 4th win in 6 starts. And here's your public service announcement to remind you that Newsroom is only 9 years old and stands for $30,000. Oh, you better go breed to him right now. She's looking evil over there. Usually we have a race call of the Queen's Derby, which is on Monday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, but we will not be doing that this year, sadly. And we would like to give a shout out tonight to all the players that have joined us from trophyhorse.com. If you're here tonight listening, thank you for joining us, and we hope you like your stay. Our next broadcast will be Week 12 Friday. That will be the Long Island Midsummer Classic. There's classics all over the place. And I expect we'll see basically this entire field back right again to find out if we'll have another new winner, or if Eastern Westside will step up again, or if James Dean is just a marathoner, or is he a mile and a quarter horse too? Who even knows? Yes, the suspense is just dramatic around here. Thanks for being here, guys, tonight, and enjoy Real Life Belmont tomorrow.